Creed began in Tallahassee, Florida in 1994. Founding members vocalist Scott Stapp and guitarist Mark Tremonti had been classmates in high school and friends at Florida State University. Stapp and Tremonti realized that they had a mutual love of writing music and performing. After multiple discussions and much time spent writing songs, several of which address themes of Christian theology and spirituality, the duo held auditions that led to the recruitment of bassist Brian Marshall, drummer Scott Phillips, and rhythm guitarist Brian Brasher completing the quintet. The five-piece band lasted through 1994, and Brasher left in 1995. Creed decided to remain as a quartet. The four musicians had already written and collaborated on 4 songs that would form part of their chart-topping debut album, My Own Prison. The band found local success playing shows in bars and small dives in Tallahassee. In 2012, Stapp wrote that Creed first performed under the name Naked Toddler at Yianni's in Tallahassee. The name was picked up by Tremonti from a headline in that day's newspaper, but the reaction that night to the name was negative. The group was trying to find ideas for a better name when Marshall said he had been in a band called Mattox Creed. Stapp latched onto the Creed aspect, and the band agreed. My Own Prison and rise to fame. Wanting a real show at a club, they managed to persuade the owner of a bar in Tallahassee to book them by claiming that they could guarantee an audience of 200 people. Owner and manager Jeff Hanson recalled that the band had played mostly cover versions, but 2 original songs stood out and impressed him so much that he promptly signed them to his management and promotions company and set about developing their act. For their first recordings, he matched the band up with John Kurzweg, a producer and friend of Hanson's who he felt was an appropriate fit. Together, they recorded their debut album for $6,000, which was funded by Hanson. The album, titled My Own Prison, was initially self-released on their own label, Blue Collar Records, selling 6,000 copies throughout Florida. My Own Prison had been circulating around the music industry for a while when, in May 1997, Diana Meltzer from Wind Up Records heard the album and decided almost immediately that she wanted to sign them to the label, which had creative issues with Baboon over the latter's reluctance to alter their image and sound to suit the label's demands. Meltzer later said that she heard an arena band. Within the same week, Meltzer, together with Wind Up president Steve Lerner, CEO Alan Meltzer, and A&R representative Joel Mark, flew to Tallahassee to see Creed perform live and decide for certain whether to offer them a contract. Human Clay and Marshall's departure. With money made from My Own Prison, the band started to write for their second album, Human Clay. The album's first single, Higher, spent a record-breaking 17 weeks on the top of the rock radio charts. In 2009, Higher was ranked as the 95th greatest hard rock song of all time by VH1. The album was released in 1999 when My Own Prison was still doing reasonably well. However, Human Clay was an instant and overwhelming success, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and selling over 10 million copies over the next 2 years, allowing it to become one of the few rock albums to be certified diamond by the RIAA. The album was the band's first to hit number 1 in the US, where it debuted with first-week sales of 315,000 and stayed on top for 2 weeks. After the release of Higher and then the album in late 1999, 3 follow-up singles were released in 2000, What If with Arms Wide Open and Are You Ready? The first 3 singles topped radio charts, giving Creed a total of 7 chart-topping singles. The band would later go on to win a Grammy Award for With Arms Wide Open for Best Rock Song in 2001. In March 2000, an authorized home video about Creed was announced on the band's website, but never released. During the summer of 2000, bassist Brian Marshall began a spiral into alcoholism. The band had a meeting with management to discuss Marshall's future. Stapp and Tremonti supported the idea of Marshall going to rehab and attempted to talk Marshall into going, but he refused. Stapp stated that Marshall's leaving was his choice and was unrelated to the Pearl Jam comments. Brett Hestla from the band Virgo's Merlot replaced Marshall as a touring member of Creed. Latched and breakup. Creed worked on their third album for most of 2001, with Tremonti choosing to play bass on the record to the band's initial core, although Hestla remained in Creed's touring lineup. Weathered was released on November 2001. 6 singles were released from the album My Sacrifice, which earned the band a nomination for a Grammy Award for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal in 2003. Bullets, One Last Breath, Hide, Don't Stop Dancing, and Weathered The album was a commercial bestseller and was certified platinum 6 times over and debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Top 200. It remained at that spot for 8 weeks, a record which Creed notably shares with the Beatles. The tour to promote Weathered was met with considerable controversy. It was delayed in April 2002 when Stapp suffered a concussion and vertebrae damage after being involved in a car crash. As a result, in addition to his growing addiction to alcohol, he became addicted to pain medication. Creed disbanded in June 2004 after more than a year of inactivity. Tremonti cited tensions between Stapp and the rest of the band as the reasoning. He said that the relationship with Stapp had become so strained that the creative juices were no longer flowing. Reunion, Full Circle, and 2012 tour. Creed reconvened in late 2011 and early 2012 to begin work on a potential 5th studio album. A tour was also announced in which the band would perform their first 2 albums, My Own Prison and Human Clay, from front to back over the course of 2 nights, with selected tracks from Weathered and Full Circle also featured. This tour kicked off with 2 shows in April 2012 at the Chicago Theater in Chicago, Illinois, with the band performing My Own Prison the first night and Human Clay the second. They also toured in South America and Indonesia. The band went on hiatus in 2012 or 2013. In October 2013, Stapp noted in an interview that extensive work was done on a 5th album throughout 2011 and 2012. However, the project was subsequently abandoned. Stapp has maintained that Creed is still a band. He also said that he's open to continuing to work with Creed when the time is right. In June 2015, while promoting his 2nd solo album, Cauterize, Mark Tremonti claimed in an interview with Kerrang that he hasn't been a close friend of Scott's in 9 years. He did not speak to Stapp throughout the South American tour in 2012, and plans for their 5th studio album were shelved, and they continued to work with Miles Kennedy in Alter Bridge. Second reunion and return to popularity. On July 2023, the band announced that they had reunited and would be headlining the Summer of '99 cruise in April 2024. In their run to winning the World Series in 2023, the Texas Rangers players regularly used Creed's Higher as motivation, even though some players, like Evan Carter, were born after the song had achieved peak popularity. The song became popular with fans and the team alike, to the point that the Texas Rangers had sing-alongs for Higher during games during October. Along with their reunion and the Texas Rangers popularizing their music again, Creed's streaming numbers improved, culminating in Creed attending a playoff game between the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros on October 2024. Based on their renewed popularity on October 2023, the band announced the Summer of '99 tour, their first tour since 2012. The tour will feature more than 40 shows across the U.S. with support from Three Doors Down as well as Finger 11, Daughtry, Switchfoot, Tonic, and Big Wreck on select dates. This was followed on February 2024 with the announcement of the Are You Ready tour, starting in November 2024 with supporting acts Three Doors Down, Mammoth WVH, and Finger 11.